Entertaining, informative, and educational. Inspiring content that makes a difference.
This is the Maximus Troy Publications Broadcasting Network.
Join the Academy. The Breeders' Academy proudly presents Bred to Perfection with Kenny Troiano, a show for serious breeders.
Whether you are looking to create a new strain or simply improve an old one, you have come to the right place.
Daddy, I want more chickens.
Oh, boy.
Now, here's your host, Kenny Troiano.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bred to Perfection. My name is Kenny Troiano, and this, my friends, is the podcast devoted to helping you become a better breeder and taking your strain to the next level. That's right, my friends. It doesn't matter if you are brand new to breeding or you've been breeding for many years. There is something all of us can do to improve our fowl for future generations.
Whatever. Thanks for stopping by. We're not interested.
Okay, I get it. I understand. This is something that you're just not open to.
What is that?
Okay, welcome to another episode of Bred to Perfection. I'm Kenny Troiano, founder of the Breeders' Academy, and I'm here with my hosts, Nancy and Frank Bradley. What's going on, you guys?
Hey, guys.
See, I'm not allowed to talk unless you're talking, and that way I can be the ultimate interrupter.
So what's new, Frank?
Better than I was last Friday.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that or not?
I'll just say this. It wasn't what I thought it was, and we'll leave it at that, but I'm much better now.
Okay, I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, I'm doing much better now. But thanks for all the members and everything at Reach Out. Wishing me get well soon. I appreciate that, guys. I really do.
Yeah, I'm actually awake more than I thought I would be, considering the workout I got this morning. I was out there today raking up pepper tree leaves, putting them in the brood pens for litter. Between the leaves that fall down from the tree and then the decomposed stuff underneath, you scoop that up, put it in the chicken pens. It's the best stuff. Throw grass in there too. It helps them start laying. Hey, Frank, that's a good question before we get started. You know more about nutrition than I do. Is there something to that where you put green grass into the pens and it helps them start laying earlier? Or?
With anything vegetation, you're going to get fiber out of it. It's a good fiber, especially for your hens. But to get them on green grass and feed them clippings like out of your lawnmower, you've got to watch because you can get mushrooms. But now going back on the pepper trees, I do think that's a good idea. And I really think that helps them, what they do ingest off those pepper trees. When I was out there last May, I think it was, I just reached up and broke one of them off. And it'd been a while since I'd actually been around pepper trees, and I just took a whiff of it. And what I've read on the pepper trees, I really think that's a good internal parasite deterrent as well.
I think so too.
Of what they ingest.
Yeah.
Because even the smell will like, whoa, you're holding it out there. And what I've read up on it, it doesn't harm the chickens in small amounts, but I think little small things like that really help you. And I've done that a million times, give my birds grass clippings from the lawnmower. I just go through it to make sure there's nothing in there that's going to harm them as far as mushrooms or any other thing that's swept up in it.
I remember Tony telling me the same thing. It promoted egg laying. I didn't know, but I just knew it was good for them. Like you said, if you don't overdo it. I've been trying to get that out of Peter Brown, Dr. Gallardo, a number of other people, because either my birds developed a genetic resistance to worms, because I haven't seen infestation of worms in my bird in years. I don't even worm my bird. I haven't in 15 years. And I always thought it was either a genetic resistance to worms or the pepper trees that I've been throwing in there all those years. I always throw wheelbarrows of that stuff in there as litter, and then it decomposes into the ground, and I never have a problem with worms.
To be honest with you, before I started making my own feed, my own pellet, I would break my eggs, and they were nice and yellow. The whites would be maybe about a 1/16 of an inch on top. But when I started going with the sea kelp and the alfalfa added in and the Timothy meadow grass added to the pellet, man, I'm telling you, there's just no comparisons to what's in the eggs with all that good greenage that's in it. And at the time, I had my birds on green grass. And when I'd move the pen, I would sow new seed, let it come up all nice and tender, and then I'd move the cage back over, try to keep them on green grass. This way, I don't have to worry about having them on green grass all the time. It's in their diet, in their feed. But after I went with that, I'm talking a 1/4 inch on the egg. The yolks has got such a much better taste to them now, and they're just like sunballs. They're almost orange. They're so bright.
How about you, Nancy? What's going on?
Okay, I've got something for Barbara here. I've been looking on other Moran websites and Facebook pages to see if any of them have information on where she can get some cuckoo Morans. And so, Barb, I just wanted to let you know I left you a message inside the Breeders Academy membership Facebook page. So go there and check it out. And if you can't find it, let me know and I'll repost it for you. I found a couple names where you might be able to find some cuckoo Morans.
Nancy and I were talking about that because Barb has been talking to us in the last few shows that she's been looking for birds. And when she was saying cuckoo Morans, I remember telling her, oh, yeah, we had those. But we didn't have the cuckoo Morans. We had the golden cuckoo Morans. And I knew ours were a little tough to get. Not too many people raise them. But cuckoo Morans should be easy to get. They're everywhere. They're not that hard to find. So I'm not sure why she's having a problem.
She's probably wanting some that's been bred.
Good ones?
Yeah. Yeah. Rather than just getting the
Tree ones?
hatchery
Yeah.
or backyard breeder or something. That's what I would be looking for.
Right. She doesn't want to do hatchery. In fact, when I posted to the Moran Facebook group page, I got in and I joined their group and I told them she doesn't want to do hatchery, but she's looking to get some starter fowl, her Adam and Eve. And some of them did say some people, they don't want to sell or let anybody have their cuckoos. It's a little tough to find something good to start with, but they're out there. Just keep looking. You'll find it.
Today, we're going to be talking about breeding tips for the modern breeder. For the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about the biggest mistakes breeders make. We're going to take it up a level and start talking about things that you can use to further your breeding and increase the chances that you're going to create a really good strain. And Frank, I don't know if I talked to you about it, but if you look at the outline, some of them are labeled for members and some of them are just regular. So we just got to be careful of that. The ones for the members, we're going to talk about on the back end. The ones that are not labeled, we'll talk about on the front end. For my members, we do the front end for about an hour. So we'll go into the back end of the Breeders Academy and we'll go on for another hour and we'll continue the conversation. For those who are enjoying this show, make sure to go to www.breedersacademy.com. There you'll find the platforms for our podcasts. Even if you're not going to join the Breeders Academy now, go ahead and join the newsletter, which is our Breeders Bulletin. Just go to www.breedersacademy.com and join the newsletter. There's a lot of great information over there, free information on breeding. So make sure you join that today. And we'll let you know what's going on. Like I said, just go to www.breedersacademy.com to subscribe. The website is open right now for new members. So go to the registration page to join. That way, not only will you get the front end, but you'll get the back end. And then also you're going to get the Founders Program, all the programs and courses that go with the Founders Program and a lot more, as well as the Masters Class videos and the Breeders Roundtables. Okay, so Nancy's on screen, so she must want to say something.
No, I got off screen so I could sneeze.
You want to hear something funny? I put her ultimate interrupter on there. She wrote down another one. It's called Sneezy. I almost put that on there. I guess it would have been fitting. But,
well, the heater's on, so I'm not going to be freezing over here, but I'm going to be sneezing a lot.
yeah.
Now, she's done only one sneeze the last little bit. It's not been the multiples as she used to do.
Yeah, she may have been right because she was complaining that, see this sock right here on the microphone?
Yeah.
I took that off of her. She has a different one on there, and she hopefully hasn't been sneezing since, or as much.
Not as much.
That could have been.
It might have been it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say, Frank, before we get started?
Ready to go, buddy.
Okay. So the first one is patience and perseverance over instant gratification. Some believe that they can create a strain in 1 year, Frank.
And I see it a lot. And they think it's easy as taking two different breeds or strains and putting them together, making a cross, and then they call it their own. But we know that's not true. There's a lot of people breeding chickens that's not been cleaned up. They're pretty much mongrels. And I can see the outcome of breeding those type birds. There's going to be so much diversity that you're not going to see the true meaning of a breeding program, because they do one cross and then they say, this is my set family, or they buy a trio and they say, this is my family here. And it may be two hens that's totally different from the cock, or all three of them could be different.
You're not going to create a strain in 1, 2, or even 3 years. And if you're seeing
No way.
any genetic diversity, any variation, or any contrasting characteristics in the offspring, you don't have a strain. You just don't have a strain. Frank was talking about the cleanup process, and the members know what that means, because the first few stages of the Founders Program is all about cleaning up the gene pool, cleaning up the bloodline, getting them ready so that you can fine-tune them and create a foundation line. And I don't know of any other breeding program that does that, Frank.
No. And that's what makes it unique from all the others. All the other breeding programs that we would see would be A to E, and that's as far as you got, and the rest of it, you just had to come up with what you had. I've never seen a true program other than Founders Program. It's a true science-backed program that allows you to take even mixed birds and make them a true pair of trait family, to where they all reproduce themselves, they look alike, they act alike.
Actually, that's what it was created for people who do have unrelated birds, crosses, mongrels. That's what it was created for, to create a strain from birds like that. But it turned out to be a really good method for even getting an established strain and cleaning it up and making it even better. Because Frank brought something up numerous times, and I never really said anything because I didn't know what I thought about it. He always said that line breeding to a lot of people is a maintenance program. And I just thought they thought of it as a breeding program, start to finish. And as we know, line breeding, it's not a one and done. It's not a standalone type process. There's a lot that has to be done before that.
As far as them using it for a maintenance program on the line breeding, they think line breeding is the whole breeding program itself.
Yeah.
But we know it's used for one aspect, and that's cloning outstanding individuals that you want to pursue to get the most of their genome to further your breeding program. But people's using it for a maintenance program. And if they're using it for a maintenance program, I promise you, this is no joke, you're going to fail. You're going to hit that rock wall Nancy's all the time talking about. It's good for what it is. But if you keep going and doing that, you're going to end up in a downhill slope to where you're doing the opposite to your birds. You're making them worse rather than better.
We say it all the time. There's a lot that has to be done before they do the line breeding process, because if they jump right into line breeding 2-3 years down the road, or even if you were to get through a full line breeding program, there's still a lot of genetic diversity, a lot of variation that needs to be taken care of. And if you're seeing that much genetic diversity, that much variation, that many different contrasting characteristics, then you didn't clean them up properly. You shouldn't be having those if you're doing the Founders Program properly. Yeah, I just don't see any methods out there that actually do that.
And that's not even to mention, Kenny, the defects. They're not even cleaning the defects out.
To me, the beginning, starting with your Adam and Eve, it's your time to get to know your birds. It's time to get to know what faults they have, the good traits that they have. You can't find that out in one breeding of offspring. You need to take at least 2-3 years just to even see what is in your birds and find out what's going on with them.
Well, that's a good point. And you learn a lot in those first few stages. Tony used to say it all the time, that the offspring will tell you everything you want to know about the parents. That's where you find out what the parents' worth is, what's in them, what traits that they're going to throw. It's all in the offspring. So whenever you hatch chicks, you look at the offspring, it tells you everything you want to know. And it tells you what's in there, where you're at right now, and where you're going with them.
It won't show you that in just one breeding. It won't show you everything.
Not everything, but you'll have a good idea what you're dealing with. Hatch some chicks, take some pictures, and let me know what you think. Remember that one? I don't want to say who it is, but he hatched some chicks. He had some black chicks with some white chicks in there. And he was like, these were supposed to be pure. And look what I got. And if you want to know if those birds are pure that you bought from that one breeder, hatch some chicks. And those chicks should all be alike. There shouldn't be surprises. And if there's contrasting characteristics, a lot of variation, genetic diversity, then you know those chickens weren't pure, or he didn't know how to breed them.
Now, this is the other thing that I see. A lot of people gets birds, and let's just say they are good birds. They're wonderful birds. They're tickle pink with them. Everything about them is good. They stay on those and they breed them until they die. And that's fine. But They never go forward with the birds to make them better than what their parents are. They settle for keeping them the same as they are until the day they die. They never try to make them better.
That's what I was going to say, and I got sidetracked, was that they don't look at it that way. They don't look at it as something that they're trying to improve. They're just trying to keep the family as they got them and maintain them. And that's what I was trying to say is when Frank said that about line breeding, they just looked at it as a maintenance program. I was like, oh my God, because I started listening to more people. And I'm like, you're right. They're not even looking at it as trying to improve the family. I was just listening to a show not too long ago. They were interviewing a breeder, and that's what he said. This is how I breed them. And my goal is to keep them as good as I got them and maintain them. He said those words. I'm like, oh my God, he's not even trying to improve them. He has no method to actually improve them.
They may not be trying to improve them because they like the way they are. And
I don't think they know what they
but
like.
then also, now who's interrupting now? And they also may not have the information or the education to select better. This is the way it should be.
And that's a good point. You could be very well right that they may not know better. They may think that's the best that they're going to do and that's all they can do. These are supposed to be experienced breeders. You think they would know better, but maybe they don't. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that's the wrong way to do it.
I think so. I think if someone set them down, just say, for instance, you or I set them down and explain to them, they'd say, that light bulb will come up over top of here. You got a point. Yeah. But a lot of instances in them making them better, you know what they do? They add outside blood to make them better.
Yeah.
Every time. Rather than taking what they've got and improving from that, they add blood to it. And then that just destroys everything.
And then they think they're pure because they bred it in and bred it back out again, which is not possible, which doesn't work. It's not even
Muddy
true.
water.
Yeah.
Muddy water.
Oh, well, I'll give you an example. We've talked about this before is let's look at their birds, the family that they have, as this clean glass of water. They want to bring in this new bird they think is going to improve their strain. So this represents just a spoonful of dirt. So they pour the dirt in the water. So they're breeding that outside bird into their family, which represent the dirt in the water, and you stir it up. Now you have a glass of water that's not clear. Now it's brown and looks crappy. And so you stir it up real good. And they think by breeding their birds into the offspring each year, thinking they breed the bird in, now they're going to breed the bird back out or the blood of that bird back out. And so that's represented by taking a pitcher of water, clean water, and just keep pouring it into the glass until the water keeps coming out and it gets clearer and clearer to the point when it looks like a clear glass of water again. And so they thought they bred it in and bred it back out again. But if you take one drop of that water, put it under a microscope, you're going to see evidence of that dirt in that water. So the genes are still there.
All that diversity you put in there is staying in there. You're just breeding to one side and making it less dormant. It's just laying there. It's not coming out. It's staying in there. So it really doesn't go anywhere. It stays in there. And Kenny, that's the absolute best scenario that you can use to describe that, because that's what happens. A lot of people thinks it comes out and it disappears. It goes somewhere else besides the chicken they're breeding. It's in there forever and a day. Yep. You just change the DNA of that bird dramatically.
You added recessives to that. Some of them are unwanted, some of them are lethals, and you lost the homozygous dominant traits that you wanted. And Frank's right. You change that family forever. They'll never be the same ever.
That's been a lot of strains over the years, good birds, that have been destroyed just by that, because they think they can breed it out, and they add it to it, and they're like, those birds used to be good birds. I done something wrong. I messed them up. Give you an instant. One of these legendary breeders had some really good gray birds. They was just immaculate. They was beautiful. And they got so mean, he couldn't even pick one up. They were awful. If somebody had tied you up and throws you on the ground and throwed one of the birds beside you, it would kill you. It wouldn't stop beating on you. And he gets rid of every bird on his yard, just kill them all because they was so mean he couldn't do anything with them. Now, if he had known how to breed and do what was needed, he could have saved that family. Okay, he tried putting other blood in them, but that's what people do. They think adding blood can fix any problem, but they don't need to do that. They can take that same bloodline and fix the problem that they're having within that gene pool and not have to add the blood. Once you explain it to them, they realize it, but they don't think about that part.
Every time they start making progress, even after they screwed them up, they start making progress again. They feel like they're getting closer and closer, more and more inbred. They bring that new blood in there and just mess them up all over again, instead of just moving them along. And like I tell my members, you can always improve them. No matter how bad they are or how good they may be, you can actually improve them. You just got to make sure the offspring are just a little bit better than the parents.
Any type trait that you're looking for, just a little bit better than the parents is a winning goal. If you're just a little bit, that much, every year you keep doing that for year after year after year, then you find you where you need to go. But once again, it's a patience deal. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's a lot of problems that we get. People are just impatient and they want the effect of it this breeding, not 3 years down the road.
Yeah, just accept the fact it's going to take many years. Depending on the bloodline and how much is in there to clean up, it could take a decade or two. But good breeders are patient. They're going to work through the problem. And when it comes to the Founders Program, trust in the process. And I can only say that for the Founders Program because I don't think the other breeding programs that are out there are real true breeding programs. I think they're deficient. I think some of them are maybe a part of a breeding program, but they're not a breeding program in themselves.
It's not a whole.
No.
It's not a whole. And most of them that I've seen, Kenny, even the ones that start out good, you're like, okay, yeah, this is a really good breeding program. And then all of a sudden, they shoot themselves in the foot or they do something that starts them all back over from the start again, every time.
Sometimes what happens when people cross and they're like, okay, I added new blood and I'm going to breed them for a little bit and then I'm going to breed that blood back out of them. They think they've done that, but because they don't see it anymore, they think they bred it out. What do you think about that?
But if they took pictures and videos and really kept track of what they were compared to what they are now, they would see a difference. And then the traits that they're trying to improve on, they're never improved by a cross or an infusion. Never. Because the kind of traits they're looking to improve most of the time are all polygenic traits. That's never improved in one breeding or one infusion or one cross. It's improved over time by breeding to the highest intensity of that trait over many years. That's how it's improved. And the results they are getting where they think they're improving isn't an improvement in the trait itself. It's just hybrid vigor, which is, as we know, is not inheritable. It's not passed to the next generation, and it's very temporary. Like Nancy said, it's one and done. And you don't really get the hybrid vigor you think you're going to get if you just keep crossing every time. Because the best crosses come from two inbred families. You get the best hybrid vigor, you get the best mitochondrial DNA if you're selecting properly, and you're getting the best potency. But every time you add new birds, you destroy all that.
Are you talking pure? Two pure families?
Two pure families produce the best results in a cross.
Inbred families.
Yep.
Two pure inbred families. You'll get the maximum out of your hybrid vigor. The maximum.
Every time. Every time. There's no doubt about
because
it.
a lot of people don't know that a hybrid bird cannot reproduce himself. They have no idea of this. And it's just like we always talk. If people understood meiosis, they would understand that part of it. They really would. And I beg them to do that. Study meiosis. Learn it. And once you learn it and you see the benefits of it, then you understand the hybrid vigor part that we're discussing and talking about.
That's when I learned that crossing didn't work. What these guys were doing was a facade. What they were trying to achieve wasn't real. And when I learned the effects of meiosis and the crossover event and how it creates multiple unique gametes, and when you look at how those gametes are created and how they're distributed, you realize you're recombinating the genes and they'll never be the same. It was an eye-opener for me. And it really changed the game. I got a lot more breeders understanding that crossing wasn't the way to go just because of the effects of meiosis.
When I do a coaching call and this subject comes up, that's the first thing I want the members to do is familiarize themselves with that. And I think it explains it all, Kenny.
Yeah, it's an eye-opener for sure. So yeah, be patient. Always look for ways to improve your family. Understand that there's no shortcuts. It's going to take a lot of time. You got to play the long game. And trust me, it's worth it. Frank and I know the feeling, and a number of my members now, too. It feels so good to have a family you can call your own, that repeat themselves. They're uniform, consistent, have the traits that you're looking for, and that you're still improving them. I think it's one of the best things ever. You're going to be glad you did.
And the good part is, they're the only ones in the world. That's what sets it apart from everything. You designed that bird just like you would build a home or whatever you would build with your two hands. You're building that bird, and you're setting that bird up for the traits that you want it to have. And that's another thing. People just don't know how much control they have when it comes to selective breeding.
Hey, so Kenny, I have a request for you.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Rocky says he's late, so he wants us to start over.
We'll be starting over in 37 minutes and 36 seconds.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of reruns?
We'll be right back after word from our sponsor. This show was brought to you by the Breeders' Academy, where we will help you to increase your knowledge of breeding, advance your skills as a breeder, and help you to improve the quality and performance of your fowl. As a member, we'll provide you with the roadmap that you will need to create a true family or strain. I urge you to check it out. You've got nothing to lose, and you can cancel at any time. You also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Simply go to www.breedersacademy.com to sign up.
The Breeders' Academy will not only change the way you think about breeding, but improve the way you breed your fowl.
I hope to see you there. So let's get started.
Okay, we got 20 minutes to talk about the next topic, which kind of goes with the first one as far as being patient and not looking for instant gratification. It's really hard to stay patient if you're starting with really bad fowl or unrelated fowl or fowl that have a lot of issues or fowl that don't match each other, and it takes forever to see the results. Then you do end up becoming impatient and you do things you shouldn't have done.
Kenny, for the non-members, why don't you give them a brief description of the definition of seed fowl? They may be confusing it with brood fowl.
And that's a good one.
Like
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Although more people are getting it right nowadays, whereas when we first started, I'd see people talk about, oh, I got my brood fowl or I got my foundation fowl. Now, most of them are getting it right. They're saying that they're seed fowl. So basically, the way I look at it is your seed fowl are the beginning of your strain. Think of it as you've got your field, you've plowed it up, and you're going to start your crops. So you get your seeds. That's the beginning of your garden. The same thing with chickens. This is the beginning of your strain. So we call them seed fowl. They're also the Adam and Eve of your strain, just like the biblical reference to creation. The Adam and Eve is what's going to start your family. And I even call the first part of the Founders Program the Genesis phase because of that. But they're the beginning of your family. And understand that your seed fowl, the only job they have is to get the family going. A lot of people will buy a trio or pair, and right away they start breeding them, which is fine. But then they put them through a program like a line breeding program, and they use those seed fowl for the whole time. So they're always breeding those offspring right back to what we call the seed fowl, and don't get the results they're looking for. I will say this, that the seed fowl, a lot of people want to keep breeding the seed fowl, and the seed fowl have one job to get it started. And they make the mistake of doing that when they should have just got the ball started and get rid of those birds. And I understand what the problem is. They're spending $1,000, $2,000, sometimes $3,000 for that trio. They think they should get more out of them. And most of the time, no. They have one job, get the family going, and they step out.
I can see having a problem with that, paying thousands of dollars for birds and you breed them one time and that's it. Think of it this way. If you're taking birds and you want two of the best birds that you can start with, what if you've got to breed those birds and raise, say, 100 or 150 just to get the two very best birds that you can get, okay? It's going to cost you a lot of money either way that you go, all right? And I look at it this way. As far as time and money, you're really better off to go buy them. If you can find two really nice birds that match each other, that has the traits and the looks that you're looking for, it's much better to go out and spend that money and get them rather than spending all that time getting them and trying to find the two to start out on your own and raising that many birds trying to get the very best two that you can get. Now, that's if you can find the very best two that you can find. That can run into problems too. But like Kenny said a moment ago, they can be hybrids. They can be mongrels. As long as they suit you, got the correct type, conformation, they're healthy birds, you go for it.
They don't even have to be related. It would be nice to find an established strain, a good breeder who will sell you a pair or trio, and the birds, by looking at their phenotype, don't need a lot of work. But I wouldn't rely on that for one thing. But that would be nice if you could start that way, but 99% of us can't. We have to just get what we can. A lot of times we have to get a cock from one breeder and a hen from another breeder, or we got to accept the fact that the breeder's not going to sell us pure birds, and we just have to move forward from that. And that's fine. We can do that. But the better birds you find that at least represent their breed, They don't have any defects. They're not sick. It's going to save you a lot of time. Progress is going to be a lot faster, and the chances of you succeeding is going to be higher.
They should be of the same breed, same variety.
Yeah, they got to match each other. So they do have to be the same breed, the same variety. They have to have the same breed characteristics. It'd be best if they had the same comb, the same leg color, the same feather color, same conformation, the same type. They do have to match each other. And I see that a lot too, where people want to start with a gray hen or a gray rooster with a red rooster or red hen. They want to mix up their bloodlines and they mix up their color groups. And the only problem with that is now we're dealing with qualitative traits. We're dealing with dominant recessive traits. And a lot of times the progress is not going to go in the direction they want it to go. It's going to actually go in the other direction. So whenever you're mixing up your color groups and messing with birds that don't match, then chances are you're not going to achieve what you think you're going to achieve. You're going to be forced to go the other direction. You're just not going to make the progress you think you're going to make.
The biggest one I see, Kenny, is when they get a light red and a dark red. And they really don't think there's a problem there. I'll just breed to one or the other. And that's the reason you need to be aware of all this stuff, because if you breed a light red and a dark red, you're going to fight that dark red from here until eternity. You're never going to get rid of it. So you'd be better off just to go dark red with them. But to try to make a light red family out of a dark and a light, it's not going to happen. And that's what Kenny's talking about when it's saying match them up. Now, this day and time, you could get 2 light reds, a light red hen, a light red cock, breed them together, and somebody down the road is bred dark into them. The dark's going to win every time, I promise you.
And that's the key. If you understand the genetic factors in the order of dominance, then you know what direction to go. You know what you can do and what you can get away with. And Frank's right. If you got like a wheaten hen that's a pure light red and you're using a dark red to get the family going, you just destroyed the light red. Okay, it's not going to work that way. The order of dominance is light red wheaten to dark red partridge. But if you have a light red and you have a dark red and that's all you got, and you're okay with going to the dark red side, you can get there. You can actually get there. Understanding the genetic factors, understanding the order of dominance, then you can maybe get away with mixing up your color groups and still get there. But you just got to understand that first. The problem is that they want to go the other way. And then they don't understand why it's getting worse and worse, and it's just not getting there.
That's a headache. I've been there, guys.
Yeah,
Trust
I've been
me.
there.
It's not fun at all. It really isn't.
Yeah. And with all the scamming that's going on, I mean, everybody I know is being, what's the word for it? They're impersonating me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, imposters.
God.
Yeah, imposters. Okay, that's going on quite a bit. Almost everybody I know that's anybody has been taken advantage this way. Impersonated, yeah. So it's getting bigger, and it's getting to the point when I tell people, if you're going to buy birds, you're really better off buying them in person. Going there, checking them out, talking to the breeder. And I just think it's risky these days to order in the mail, because chances are you're not going to get the birds you think you're going to get. And sometimes, Frank, you don't get any birds at all.
You're lucky even if you get anything at all, but For My Birds has been sold probably over 500 times on social media. That's not no joke. They take pictures off my site and put them on their website for sale. And the last time it was Johnny White Kelso, or they call them the old names or whatever. And they're selling those birds, and those birds don't even belong. The pics don't even belong to them, but they're using those pics of other breeders to scam people on social media and take them, just like the guy was doing you. And finally, Kenny gets him shut down. They take the fake account down. And then what was it, guys? 2 weeks later, he's right back at it again. Probably the same guy again.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are doing this. Could be just one guy for all I know, but how do you manage that many Facebook pages? Because he's got to log in and log out of each one of those.
If that's his job where he's making all his money.
He's pretty much shutting down the selling of birds through social media because it's getting riskier. And I apologize if I'm hurting anybody's business, because they're legitimately making money or actually selling birds online, and that's how they do their business. But other people are getting screwed because they're thinking they're talking to someone when they're not, and they're buying birds from someone. It's not who they think it is. And a lot of times they're getting screwed, not even getting birds at all, and just get their money taken. This is happening more and more all the time. And I'm not sure what the answer is, other than you might have to buy locally, or you may have to go pick them up yourself. I had one guy who thought he was talking to me because he was trying to join the Breeders' Academy, and he thought he was actually talking to me. There was a handful of red flags I thought maybe he should have known, but he got taken pretty good. And then he finally got a hold of me, and I got him set up and everything. But that was after he was already taken for some money.
Oh,
You know?
there's a guy on there right now on Facebook. He's got all these pictures and they're from different breeders. You can tell the background is different in each one of them. And he's like, oh, you like this bird? I'll tell you what, buddy. Since you like this bird, you pay the shipping on him. I'm going to give him to you. How much? $100. Okay. They send them the money. No bird. They get blocked or deleted off the account. There's so many ways of being scammed. And what I tell everybody, if it looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Yeah. Larry has a good one here. I like that. Video chatting with the seller would solve a lot of the problems. Yeah.
I see a lot of people on that calling them out, and they'll see a pic and they're like, send me a video of the bird. Oh, I'll get you one tomorrow. And they never come back with it.
Yeah, but everybody sees me. I'm on here all the time. They know what I look like. They know what I sound like. I was do a video chat. I don't sell birds, so no worries there. That should be a clue right there. If someone's saying they're selling my birds, I don't sell birds, okay? I'm just not into that. I do well enough with the education side of it. I just don't sell birds. And if I have extras, I give them to my members for free. If they're willing to come pick them up and spend a little time with me, when I have some, they get them. I give them to my members.
If somebody's selling birds, if they can't give you 5 references that you can contact to ask them about what the purchases, then stay away from them.
As buyers, we have to be a lot more careful than we used to. Absolutely.
Do your research. That's it.
That's
do
the
your
thing, is you think you're doing your research, but these guys, they seem convincing. I had a member who said that I should get that blue dot or something, or that check mark that tells that it's really me. And I thought about it, and I did check into it, but they want so much personal information that I really don't want to give Facebook. Second of all, not everybody's going to be looking for that check mark. They're going to think it's me, and they're just going to jump right in.
Trusting or naive people that really got ripped off. They didn't do any research on the person. They just seen a bird they liked. They sent them the money and they got ripped off.
Yeah. I know this is a touchy subject, but we do have to be a lot more careful. If it were me, I don't buy people's birds, but if it were me, I would spend the money to get on a plane or save the money and go pick them out myself. Spend some time with the breeder, get to know the breeder. That way I can ask him some questions. I get a good look at him and what he has to say, and maybe talk to him about his breeding program or look over his farm, see how clean it is, see how healthy his birds are. Ask him what are the common defects that he has to deal with his birds. He should know that. He should have an idea what that is. Ask him what kind of medications he's using. Hopefully none. I don't like the idea of using medications, but I like to know what I'm dealing with if I were to buy birds. Get a look at what he's saying. Oh, this is a hatch, this is a kelso, this is a sweater, this is a round head. Well, that's fine, but you said these two are hatches. They have contrasting characteristics. Okay, I see there's a problem there. Are they as uniform and consistent as they should be? Are they repeating themselves? You can learn a lot by talking to the breeder himself and looking over his farm than you can talking to him for a few minutes on the phone, sending him a money order and getting birds in a box and pulling them out and go, what the heck is this?
There's such thing as FaceTime. That can save a lot of problems.
That
right there
Larry
in
had a good
itself.
point there. I like that, actually. Yeah. And Melissa was saying it's a good idea to watermark your photos. And for most people, that would be a good idea. And I did. He's pretending to be me. So if I'm putting my stuff on the photos, then it didn't work for me because he's still trying to sell my birds that aren't my birds. The only thing he would have a problem with is if he was acting like my birds were actually somebody else's, then that would be the problem there.
Yeah, he's imitating everything. So that's hard to get by when they're saying they're you. That's a little bit more difficult.
So we have a couple questions for you.
Okay,
Can
that's
we
a good
go into
idea.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea.
I'm not sure what Larry is asking here, but he's saying any good books out there on it.
On breeding?
I think it was on meiosis. It was on meiosis. And what I was going to tell him, if it was on the subject of meiosis, Larry, the website got some great articles in it. It's anything that you want to know on breeding is in the website itself. In the Breeders Academy, I would say become a member, and any questions you've got about breeding is right there for you to read, videos, anything that you want, especially on the meiosis part.
We did some videos on meiosis. Good evolutionary biology books. We'll talk about it. Meiosis is meiosis. It works for everything. I'm very careful about getting things online. I've found some people who teach things online, and for the most part, like Nancy just showed me one the other day where I was looking at it, and she did a pretty good job overall, but she was wrong about a few things. So I don't like getting things online. I have a great library here, and that's where I get my information. I don't punch up Google and get information that I need for my material.
And you also have a book club page inside the website.
Yeah, all my books are listed on the website in the recommended books, and then I review them as well.
Larry's a member too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's a member.
So that's where you go. All right, Sandy. When selecting your breeding stock, how important is it to select hens that will hatch out their own eggs? My hatchery hens seem to have that instinct bred out of them. I always have to use an incubator.
You just got to do what you got to do. I prefer a setting hen to do all the work for me. And I think she does produce very healthy baby chicks. But there's a lot of breeds out there that they just don't do that. And that's the great thing about an incubator. I don't tell people to do one or the other, really. I don't need to use an incubator, so I don't. And I get good results. But if you have to use an incubator, I do prefer the GQF. That's a good one.
Yeah. And they've got some new ones. I think it's 20 eggs. And if you don't want to put a lot of money in them, it's the Nature Wise 360. It does a terrific job. Now, they don't have a long shelf life on them. You get a couple years out of them, maybe 3. But if your eggs are fertile and your eggs are good, they're not old, you'll get 100% every time. But also with that too, Kenny, by using the Founders Program, she can also improve the broodiness on those birds as well.
Yeah, if they're showing some signs of broodiness, it is a polygenic trait. It is also a dominant trait. By selecting to the highest intensity, you can improve it. But they have to show some signs of broodiness. Otherwise, it'd be very tough.
What would those signs be?
They got to want to do it, period. Some are better than others, but they got to at least show they're interested.
Sitting on the eggs, being protective of the eggs, and that broodiness, feather fluff up in the clucking. But now, a lot of those chickens, on her part, I've even had game do that. They would get on the nest, especially pullets. They get on the nest, they go broody. 3 or 4 days after, they're nowhere to be found. They just leave the nest. But like Kenny said, though, it is a breedable trait that you can improve, but it does take some time to do it.
Yeah, it's a selectable trait. That's why I don't like relying on pullets. You could judge a pullet too early by how she performs at that time, when she could be a much better as a hen, much better broody as a hen. Pullets are just unreliable. So,
I've had a pullet go through the 21 days, I hatched them out, and then they hatched the biddies out, and they'd be free ranging, and they'd go into the trees and leave the new hatched out.
Just walk off and leave them.
Just, hey, if you can't get up, you can't get up. I'm sorry. Without us intervening, all those would have died.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have made it through the night.
Okay. Is there anything we need to say before we go into the back end for the members? Anything?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm good. Just remember to like, share, and subscribe. Give us that thumbs up if you like what we had to say tonight. That really helps with the algorithms.
And if you don't, be nice and still do it.
Happy holiday. We're having a holiday on Monday. So happy holiday to everybody.
I want to thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you'll join us in the Breeders' Academy too, so you can get the whole show. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll see our members in the back end. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you again for joining us on the Bred to Perfection podcast show. This show was brought to you by the Breeders' Academy, where by becoming a member, you can increase your knowledge of breeding, advance your skills as a breeder, and take you and your fowl to the next level.
We can also show you how to create a strain from hybrid crosses or mongrel flocks, and help you to create, maintain, and improve your present strains. We urge you to check it out. You have nothing to lose, and you can cancel anytime.
To join us at the Breeders' Academy membership website, go to www.breedersacademy.com.
Best of all, I'll be there to help you every step of the way.
While you're checking out the Breeders' Academy, make sure to sign up for our newsletter, The Breeders' Bulletin. We provide a lot of free bonus materials and some great information that will take you and your fowl to the next level. Well, that's it for now.
We hope you join us next time for another episode of Bred to Perfection. We'll see you later.
Bye. Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. What happens in the after show stays in the after show. If you've mentioned to your friends about the after show, which happens from time to time, no worries. Just tell them not to let out our little secret area of the show. Enjoy!
If the traits are in the phenotype and they're expressed, that means they're selectable. And if they're selectable, then they're changeable. That idea is wrong. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's the only way we can improve them, is through the phenotype. So we look at the birds, you look at the dogs, whatever you're breeding, and whatever they're showing you, is what you have to select from. And if they're showing you a different trait, you're either selecting for it or you're culling it. You can determine the direction of that family. And so if they're expressing it, you can select it, you can change the family.
And a lot of times it's going to be bad stuff that's going to pop up rather than good, usually the way it goes, though.
I don't know if you guys can answer this, but you're saying it can change, like how? Can you give me an example of what could change?
It's not going to change like monogenic traits, dominant recessive. It's not going to change those. Whatever is expressed, you can select, but genetics are genetics. But when we're talking about polygenic traits, multi-gene traits, we're talking about form and function traits, that can certainly change. So if you get birds, let's say if I get birds from Frank, and they're beautiful, and they have everything they need, but I start hatching birds off them and their conformation changes a bit, or their station changes a bit, which could certainly happen, or the size of the bird, or the weight of the bird. Those are traits that I have to look at the offspring that are produced. And from there, I have to decide, because I'm going to get variation at that point. And whenever you're dealing with variation, you're dealing with polygenic traits and vice versa. So that tells you right there that they can be improved over time. So I need to start looking for the birds that have the traits I'm looking for, or the closest to what I'm looking for. And I have to select those. And then over time, they'll change.
Let me ask you this then. So if you get a bird from Frank, do not expect that when you take it to your farm and breed it, that you're going to get identical to what he has on his farm. Because once it's here and in our environment and the way we farm management, or even we select after they've come to our farm, things could change.
I'll tell you, I would expect them to change.
Yeah. Over time.
Even
Now,
a
it's
little
not
bit.
like it's going to be boom and it's going to happen.
Right.
The way the bird's made up, just say I've got Kenny's birds. The way Kenny's got his birds bred, the way he selected them, the way it's done, I'm going to get the majority of those birds still. But there's going to be a small percentage of them over time start to change. Each time you breed them, there's going to be more and more of them that may pop up and change. Now, are they a true family? Now, if they got a lot of diversity in them, you're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff happen, aren't you, Kenny?
Yeah.
In that scenario.
If you order, let's say, a gray family and they're throwing reds, those genes are in there. Okay. If you wanted a white-legged family and they're throwing green-legged or yellow-legged, those genes are in there. If you wanted a pea comb and they're throwing straight comb, those genes are in there. So that's different. But when we're talking about form and function traits, disease resistance, those are the kind of things associated with polygenic inheritance, quantitative inheritance. Those are the things that are going to change. So no, I would actually expect them to change and just know that I'm going to have to make a strain out of them. So unless I live right next door to the guy or down the street, I'm going to expect them to change.
And a lot of that is on the knowledge of the breeder they're going to as well, and his selection or her selection.
And you won't know that, Frank. A lot of times you have no idea the way they select them.
No, you won't.
No.
You won't. Just that change alone, the difference in the breeders, the knowledge in the breeders, the way they select, that's enough right there to change them a lot in a short period of time.